Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a top 10 video leading up to the start for The Walking Dead Season 8. In this one, want to count down, want to do a top 10 for the top 10 characters we miss the most. Alright, and spoiler warning for the original Walking Dead if you're not caught up, which is up to the end of Season 7 to the Season 7 finale. So I wanted to do this one and just kind of give my thoughts, count down who are the top 10 characters I think that we as a Walking Dead community miss the most. You know, there's so many characters throughout the series. I did a recap video where we went through every character death in the series. I'll have that in the end video for you guys at the end of this video if you want to check that one out if you haven't seen it, where we recap all the deaths all the way through from the beginning up until the end of Season 7. So that'll be at the end of this video if you want to watch that and you haven't seen it yet. Just thought it'd be kind of fun, you know, going through The Walking Dead. One of the things that I find the most interesting is which seasons are people's favorite, because the characters in the roster changes so much because you have so many characters being killed off. The characters in focus for Season 7 are totally different from the characters you had in focus at Season 5 or at Season 2 or Season 1 or Season 3. You know, it's very different as you go on through. So these are 10 that I think stand out the most of all the characters that have been killed off in the show that as viewers we really miss seeing a lot. Starting at number 10. Number 10 for me, and based on what I've seen from you guys after the character was killed off, is going to be Hershel. So Hershel Greene, you know, character was a really, you know, nice older, you know, type of character, nice old gentleman, family man, farmer, really nice guy, and a character that maybe isn't best suited to survive the zombie apocalypse, but it was nice to see him interact with the other survivors. It was cool to see him interact with Rick as sort of a guiding fatherly figure when he lost Lori and everything, and just kind of being there for others to emotionally support everyone, being there for his family, you know, Maggie, and of course his relationship that he had, you know, briefly with Glenn there in the zombie apocalypse, and with Beth and the others from prior. So he's definitely one that I wanted to put on the list. He's going to be number 10, Hershel. Number 9 is going to be Tyrese. So Tyrese is another character that was, you know, a fan favorite, I want to say, throughout the series. Was in the series for a very long time, going from, you know, Season 3 when he first appeared with the Prison versus Woodbury war that was going on there, and then, you know, his time all the way through to the mid-season, the second half of Season 5 when he's actually killed off by a walker, a zombie. Had a really cool outro episode there with hallucinations and that kind of stuff, and it was really cool to see Chad Coleman. He was pretty badass. He was great with that hammer, which was cool. Liked the fight with him and Rick, was pretty intense, and you know, he was kind of a bigger guy, but also kind of jolly in a lot of ways, and someone who was stuck to his morals, was strong when it came to what's right and what's not, and wasn't afraid to tell the governor when something he saw he didn't feel was right. So really cool character. Definitely miss seeing Tyrese and how he interacts with his sister and everybody else in the show. He was really cool to see. Number 8 is going to be for the governor. Oh man, so I had to put him on the list at this point. I know he's been, you know, gone for quite a while now. We're getting into Season 8. He hasn't been in the show since the first half of Season 4, unless you count the hallucinations, you know, seeing with Tyrese and that. But, you know, David Morrissey's interpretation of this comic book villain, I feel like he just did such a great job bringing him to life, and really loved the TV series version of the governor. Really enjoyed seeing him as an antagonist. I thought he was pretty fearsome. He was well developed. They had the stuff with his daughter, his relationship with Andrea, you know, his hatred for Michonne, and, you know, everything that happens with Milton and everything. He was just a really great villain. The Walking Dead is a series where you're going to have a lot of characters killed. You're not going to have one villain all the way throughout. It's not always going to be, you know, Batman versus a Joker or something all the way through, and is never defeated or something, and never, you know, killed off or something. Keeps breaking out Arkham or something. The governor type of villain with this type of series where, yes, he was killed off, but I do miss seeing him as a villain because he was very intimidating, and they made the right decision killing him off, I think, at that time. I don't think you could have him in the series too long, just by nature of who he is and his characteristics. But man, he was a great villain to see. Very intimidating and very just a very cool character all around. Number 7 is going to be for Dale. So it's been a long time since we've had Dale in the series, but sometimes they still kind of put things in there, like Glenn fixing the RV and stuff like that, that kind of, goes back to those first couple seasons with Dale in the show. One of those first couple season survivors that I think of when I think of like a core Walking Dead group, a lot of times I would put Dale in there, kind of as in similar ways to Herschel in some ways, but even more so. Moral compass for the group, somebody who was very supportive of the others, loved his interactions with Glenn, like when Glenn tells him that he slept with Maggie. Oh, son, you did. And it's just a really fun character, man, and I really miss seeing the good old guy in The Walking Dead, so that's Dale. Number 6 is going to be Merle. Man, I really miss seeing Merle in The Walking Dead because he was just Michael Rooker, so crazy, right? Drinking and doing all the crazy shit that he does, going out like a champ at the end with killing a whole bunch of the governor's men. He was just such a crazy loose cannon. You never knew exactly what he was going to do and how he was going to react. Also, a lot of times didn't know whose side he was on, and just a really good kind of a villain that's in between, a villain, maybe an anti-hero, just back and forth. And oh man, it was really cool to see him in the show, and he's part of what made season 3 one of my favorite of the first few seasons. Merle was great, so I miss seeing him. Number 5 is going to be Shane. There's another one going all the way back to the first couple seasons of The Walking Dead for sure. He's still got to be in there. Jon Bernthal's performance as Shane was still something to remember for Walking Dead. And man, the season 2 finale, very nostalgic times for me as a viewer, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys. Definitely miss seeing Shane in the show. It's necessary for him to have been killed off for Rick to become Rick. Without them killing Shane, Rick wouldn't be Rick. So you had to do it, I want to say. But it was cool to have him in the show because he was really ahead of his time and kind of hot-headed, which was fun to see sometimes. And he really didn't take shit from anybody, which was cool. So I like to see Shane quite a bit. He was great. Number 4 is going to be a season 7 one. This is going to be Abraham. So being killed off in the season 7 premiere, it being such a huge double death one. I feel like for Abraham, I do miss kind of seeing Abraham in the show already after even just one season, because it was cool to see him and Sasha, their relationship, him and Rosita, things were happening between them and them breaking up and everything. To see him kind of go on missions and kind of being one of those really strong, field lieutenant leader type of characters where he's just in the field ready to kick someone's ass, shoot someone with an assault rifle or bash a zombie with a crowbar or something. Just a really cool character to see, and I really enjoyed Michael Cudlett's time in the show. He was in there for quite a while there, like 3 seasons sort of. So, I appreciated seeing Abraham in the show, and I do miss seeing him. He's going to be number 4. Number 3 is going to be Beth. So I put this one in here for you guys mainly. You guys know that sometimes I don't like Beth that much. Sometimes it depends. If she's committing suicide and stuff in the beginning, not too down with that. And sometimes right, she's a bit pitchy sometimes. But I know a lot of you girls, she had tons of fangirls that even like a year after she was killed off in the show, they could not get over it, Emily Kitty's character being killed off. They kept thinking that somehow they wanted her to be brought back. There was like a petition to like bring the character back, and it's like, even though it makes no sense for The Walking Dead at all, there still was one. So if you hadn't heard of that, there was. I think they called them Team Delusion or something like that. It was crazy. So it's still too. She's a different kind of character than what we have normally, right? Even nowadays we don't really have a character like her. Maybe Enid's the closest thing to a kind of a Beth character, but she was a heavy fan favorite for a lot of younger girls that probably felt in a zombie apocalypse they kind of related to her and her place in the zombie apocalypse being there. So she was a cool point of view character for a lot of people around that age group, and people were really sad season 5 mid-season finale when she was killed off, and people not getting over it for a long time. So I had to put her near the top here. I'm going to put her at number 3. A lot of fangirls for sure miss her. Number 2 is going to be Andrea. So man, this one for sure killed off probably before she should have been. Probably should not have happened, to be honest with you. Character killed off way too early, I think, for one of our first season characters. They got to be very selective when they kill off first season characters because there's not too many of them left, right? And And so she was one where I really felt like, it would have been cool to see her in the series longer. But hey, they did the stuff with the governor, so they felt like they kind of had to kill her off. There's no way she could be in a relationship with Rick after that, which makes sense. But I do miss seeing Andrea in the show, just because she's one of like those initial survivors, and she's one of those really strong, females from the beginning of the series, like Carol, I suppose. And there just aren't too many left. Plus, the prospect of what they did with her in the comic book series, and having her be so important to the story and everything, we never saw that in the TV series version. And I think that's something that always disappointed Walking Dead TV series fans, is we never got to see that. If they also knew about the comics, they liked the comics, that was something that probably disappointed them. But definitely a character that's miss seeing, miss being seen in the show. Runner-up is Andrea. And number one, even though it's only been one season, it absolutely has to be Glenn. I mean, this one is so easy, it's not even funny. Even if you look at like the ratings and how far the ratings went down after the premiere and stuff like that, and a few episodes in, I still feel like there's something missing in The Walking Dead when they go out on a mission, or when they're out on the road, or whatever they're doing, be it disarming explosives, whatever's going on. You expect to see Glenn in the mix, running around or doing whatever he's got to do, helping Rick and helping the others. And that's a character for sure that I miss a lot. He's one where it's like, I guess he represents in a lot of ways kind of the beginning of the series, and that first big section of The Walking Dead up to season 7. For the comic book series, it was up to issue 100. And so for him, I mean, just a character that I think a lot of people miss seeing around when they have to fight, or miss seeing around when they have to just run errands or whatever they got to do, runs or what have you, to get supplies. Stephen Yeun's character, one that definitely I would say has to be number one, has to be missed the most. His relationship with Maggie being so strong, and just one of those mainstays for The Walking Dead that we were used to seeing for the very first season. And not there anymore. And did it have an effect on ratings that he was killed? I mean, you gotta kill some characters, and you gotta have some big deaths here and there. But yeah, for sure, for him, he's one that a lot of people really love to see in The Walking Dead. And without him, that kind of street fun factor isn't as much fun anymore, I want to say, without him kind of being there. There's something missing for sure when it comes to those type of scenes that you expect to see Glenn there. So there's a top 10 list, guys. If there's any others you think should have been included, write them in the comments below. There's so many characters throughout the show, Deanna, and well, Sasha, even though it's recent, maybe Jesse or Lori or whoever else you guys can think of. Write them in the comments below which characters you miss seeing the most and why, and which of these maybe you miss seeing the most if your order is different from what I think would be the general consensus here, which is the way I did this list. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to thumb it up below. You can also share, you can favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I always appreciate it, guys. Subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.
You better subscribe.